Alien, Taken. Human test subject. Alien sci-fi romance. An alien invasion and abduction first contact fantasy romance. Written by Clara A. Tobin. Narrated by Addison. Chapter 1. Human test subject. Brestille. Here, try this. He held a bumpy little dark berry in his outstretched hand. It's bitter, I said. He wasn't going to trick me into eating that. I'd had mental berries before, and they were god-awful. Aw, he said, a grin branching out across his hairless face. All the boys on Aiyrn had hairy faces, but he was trying out a new fashion. He'd shaved his whole face almost all the way up to his ears. It sure did make his smile dazzle. Well, that and he had all his teeth. Come on. Ario tossed the berry down on the dusty ground and reached out for me with his other hand. He stood perched just a foot or two above me on the sandy slopes of Astamor, the mountain that flanked our home village of Aiyrn. That was the day it happened. Everything would change just a few minutes later. I took his hand and shadowed Ario up the hillside until we came to a flat ledge that offered a gorgeous view of the valley. It was his favorite spot. He'd said as much when he first took me there. We threw the blanket down on the edge of the woods and spread out what meager rations we'd brought for a picnic. It didn't matter too much about the food, though. We were just happy to steal an hour alone with each other outside the barracks. Life in the barracks wasn't that bad, just regimented. Every hour, every scrap of paper, and as they used to say, every vegetable peel and pile of dirt had to be counted and accounted for. They fed us, though, if only just enough to keep us hungry for bonus allotments, which, I have to say, came out fairly regularly. It was a functional system of social management, at least. I'll say that for it. The only way to leave the barracks and live a civilian life was to be paired with your mate in a public ceremony full of pomp and circumstance. It was like your graduation and wedding day all in one. Everyone looked forward to their special day of commencement and envied those that went before them. Gvynette and I used to talk a lot about that, imagining who we'd end up with, where we'd live, and if we'd have to be apart, whether we should look for a pair of twins to be matched with, or if we should just choose whomever we liked. Twins were fairly common on Aiyrn, but identical twins like us were rare. Plus, we were telepathic, which not all twins could claim. Gvynette thought Ario and I should be matched, but I couldn't make up my mind about that yet. He didn't have a twin, though, so a match with him would have answered that question. Come here, said Ario. He was leaning back on the blanket, his long form contoured into a welcoming pocket of heat. The breeze seemed to blow colder up the mountainside as I considered his warm embrace waiting for me just an arm's length away. And I ducked into its radiance instinctively, nuzzling up to his hairless face and resting my forehead against his supple skin. It really was still soft there, even without the hair. He kissed me and laid me down under him. I guess I truly did think I was in love then, but that was before the sky tore open and changed everything forever. I'd heard about the Terrans ever since I was little, but to me they had just seemed like fairy tale creatures before that day. Rumors held that the Terran warriors were more likely to take twins, but they'd say that about almost anything. Like if you had red hair or blue eyes, it was said that they were more likely to snatch you out of your bed at night. But I knew that was just gossip. I guess some people did disappear overnight sometimes, but I'd never heard of any proof it was Terrans. People can be so dramatic. I lay under Ario, stretched out on our blanket over the grassy ledge above the village. His kisses were like chocolate drops, full and luscious on my skin. My head was light, without a single thought to weigh it down as I let him part my legs with his own. He pressed himself to me gently, playfully, letting me feel his desire pulsing hotly below as his eyes pierced my gaze with his longing. The thin fabric of my skirts was soft, and I felt every throb of his cock as he slid up and down against the swell of flesh between my legs. He kissed me firmly and deeply as he stroked my nipple over my clothes. I loosened the tie around my top and pulled the fabric away from the center, exposing my breasts to him.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?